Today is Friday, February 24. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. And why would an astronomer come out 1:30 in the afternoon? Well, to begin with, this is the best sky I have seen all winter. Not a single jet trail. I don't know if for some reason maybe they're not flying today. There are only a very, very few filamentary clouds up there. Isolates. You can see overhead, the blue is pretty deep. If we take a look at Canyon Mountain off in the distance, although the sky is brighter above it, we're not getting any cloud formation. It suggests that the humidity must be well below 100%. Oh, I did actually find a little cloud off there. I'm not sure if you're going to see it on the image. But anyway, trees are dripping with snow. The observatory was coated with it, and it's melting off in this brilliant sunshine. We're about 4, maybe 5 days into the next moon cycle, so it won't be good, and the moon will be in a part of the sky that I'll be imaging this evening, if this weather holds. But it'll be an interesting experience to see what kind of observing is possible and how deep we can go in the evening that's comparable to today. As you can see, we've had plenty of snow. And it will be cold tonight, but I think I can put up with it. Hasta. Later that same day, I am seeing a jet overhead as I'm doing some preliminary realignments, which is a constant issue with this, and I hope you can see it on the screen. But anyway, not a trail at all. Amazing. First time I've ever seen a jet fly over without a trail. Fly well, my friend. It's now about 7:30 in the evening. The sky is as dark as it would ordinarily get. We're going to revisit a galaxy in Lepus called NGC 1832. It's magnitude 11.3, 2.5 by 1.5 arc minutes. It's a barred spiral galaxy, some 85 million light years distant. And this is the view we're getting on the screen right now. I just synchronized to Rigel after spending a good deal of time setting things up. Very luminous screen. You can see the galaxy towards the center. It's got a bright core, and then it's got some auras sticking out to the side. I think there's also some neighboring galaxies. It's hard to say because there are nebulous splotches on the screen. I'm in a very unfortunate observing position, looking to the west because I had to do an axis flip. But there you can see in the middle, right at the top of the bar, the galaxy. This is a night for galaxies, winter galaxies, which are fairly rare. And so I'm going to be spending a little bit of time touring around galaxies, especially the ones culminating towards the south. And that is NGC 1832 in color mode. Using, oh, by the way, a 256 flood with a 42, which gives you the equivalent view supposedly of about a 19 or 20 inch telescope under the exact same conditions. But more importantly, viewing that can be shared with others who don't have access to the eyepiece. Our next study is galaxy NGC 1843. This one's in Orion, so we're looking out through the Orion spiral arm. Magnitude 13, about the same size as the last one, 2.1 by 1.7 arc minutes, 116 million light years distance. A spiral class lowercase c. I'm not sure what that is. I do have to spend some time on that sort of thing. But there are some faint fuzzies in the field, as you can see right at the top of the bar towards the center in this region here. There is a galaxy that I think meets that requirement. Boy, the screen is different looking in color. There also seems to be several other splotchy looking galaxies in the region. It could be a galaxy group, the brightest one being NGC 1843. 3. And I am not able to really see the screen well, and I'm having to really articulate my limbs in order to be able to get access to the screen in this position. So there we have it. Let's move on. Galaxies in the wintertime. Our next galactic study is another year in the life, NGC 1875. It's a galaxy in Orion, magnitude 13.6, fairly small, 1.5 by 5 arc minutes. That's a spiral of class O, 402 million light years distant. This must be a fairly large, bright, intrinsically large and bright galaxy. This is the view I'm getting on the screen. I'm just, drop something. I'm a little concerned about all the faint fuzzies I'm seeing all over the screen tonight. I'm not sure what they are, and it's very hard to determine which might be the galaxy. The stars are looking pretty tight on the screen, given the fact that I'm operating at 256 flood. It's hard to believe there are that many galaxies up there. And the one that would be our NGC 1875 is beyond me. I'm going to give it a little chance to see if it can't integrate better. One problem I'm having is I'm looking at the screen, as I mentioned before, at a very poor angle. So the better view is actually on the handheld camera almost. But there are some splotches. I'm just going to have to look into it. There's a tremendous number of potential galaxies on the screen. I'm going to go back and recenter on Rigel before I go to the next, and maybe I'll have to revisit this galaxy 1875. But the thing to keep in mind, there's a rather elongate point right there, is that this today had every indication of being fantastic seeing conditions. So I'm going to go ahead and see how my centering is on Rigel again, and maybe revisit this galaxy, as I said before. Rigel centered up quite nicely, so I felt no reason to go back to 1875. This is 1886, galaxy once again in Lepus, magnitude 12.8. This is more of a edge-on spiral, class BC, 3.1 by 0.4 arc minutes, 75 million light years distant. Pretty far south. I'm going to leave it up to you to see if you can see the galaxy. And me later on. I'm going to sweep it a few times. I think there's one. Yeah, I can see an edge-on galaxy right above the bar at the, I would say, the 10 o'clock position from the center of the screen. There we go. There's our view. I'm not feeling like I can see it well enough to describe it, but it is edge-on, fairly large. It's got a bright core, which is kind of barred and extended. The spec on it, once again, is almost magnitude 13, so this is pretty deep to the south, so that's a fairly good view, if I am not mistaken, and that is not the galaxy, actually. So let me sweep a little bit more in case there's another candidate. That seems about the most obvious one on the screen right there. Let's continue our exploration of winter galaxies. GC 1888 is a galaxy in Lepus, further to the north. If you're wondering how Dreyer cataloged his discoveries or his catalog and indexed his catalog of galaxies, he basically started with the first galaxy being furthest to the west just after the winter solstice. And he started that as 1, and we're progressing through the year, and it'll get as far as 77 or 7,800 over time, just before the next winter solstice. But 1888, magnitude 11.9, 3.2 by 1.2, is going to be a tilted spiral galaxy. Looks like it's capital B barred, 15 million light years distant. And here's our screen view, and I do think I can make it out. I think it's right there. So I'll put it at the top of the bar so you can get a good look at it. Remember, we're now in color mode, 256 flood, 42 auto gain control. I'm not sure what effect being in color mode now will have on sensitivity of the image. That doesn't look too bad, and we're pretty far, we're below the celestial equator, so we're looking through some atmosphere here. I think that's pretty nice. Well, I didn't have far to go to get to the next galaxy, 1889. So somewhere on this screen, and I don't think it made a leap, and I didn't hear the steppers drive at all. There's another galaxy, but this one is fainter. I'm going to get the specs on it now, but I think it was close to magnitude 14, so without much of a shift in screen position. It does look like that original galaxy has two cores, though. So they may be a distant twin of galaxies. Let me center on that a little bit above the bar, and then get the spec up. So I'm going to be looking down at the 1889. So while you look at the screen, hopefully I'm centering on it, I'll get the spec up once again. 8, 8, 9. Still on the screen, how about that? 1889, once again, that was a magnitude 14 galaxy, but it's an elliptical, 110 million light years away. I don't remember what the distance was to the previous galaxy, but they should be quite similar. This is a magnitude 14. There was no shift in the motors on the drive, so it had to be very close. I'll have to look at the screen closely and maybe leave a commentary after I look at the screen, maybe do a little research online for this galaxy. But there we have it, in Lepus, galaxies in Lepus. And surprisingly, we've seen at least one in Orion as well. Okay, we're now going to galaxy 1906, also in Lepus. It just spun to that position. It's going to have to take a few, 18 seconds for it to formulate on the screen. You can see the screen generating itself. Notice that most of the go-to subjects have been near the top part of the center of the screen, so I may have to resynchronize. But here, let me sweep it. Magnitude 14. And so, and its dimensions, as I recall, was fairly small. I'll call it up again so we can look at the data on it. I believe it was 1906. Okay, calling up the data. 1906 is a galaxy in Lepus, sub 1 arc minute, spiral CD, 132 million light years distant, magnitude 14. So we're looking for something pretty faint on the screen. I'll sweep it a few times and then show you the data. There we go. 1906, Lepus, magnitude 14. Sub 1 arc minute, 0.9 by 0.5, spiral CD, 132 million light years distant. Another look. I do see a faint galaxy near the top, right about there, and I just shifted it, so by shifting my weight. But I would look up near the top. So I'm going to go ahead and resynchronize to Rigel again, although I didn't really have to synchronize last time. And it was slightly to the top of the screen or to the left. So, and then we'll go on with some more galaxies of winter. Rigel centered up pretty nicely. I didn't bother actually resynchronizing. It was pretty close. So we're on to another 20th century galaxy, NGC 1924, a galaxy in Orion.
magnitude 12.5, a little larger, 1.6 by 1.2 arc minutes, a spiral with a great bar in the middle, SB, lowercase b, C, with a ring 112 million light years away.
Now, ring galaxies are pretty rare, and you usually do see kind of a ring around the outside. That would probably indicate that the galaxy is spinning pretty quickly, and it's leaving behind, some part of the outer distant perimeter of the galaxy. Stars, what used to be the spiral arms, are really now quite centrifugally distributed. That would be my speculation. I can see somewhat of a galaxy down below there. Faint fuzzy. You can't see it on the screen, but I can see it on the handheld, just above the dark bar. But I'm going to continue to sweep just in case that's not it. I'm going to assume, however it's on the other side of the screen, that that's our baby right there. 1924. We'll have to have a look at it and compare it to its dimensions. And it is 1.6 by 1.2, so it does have a bit of an elliptical presentation. Not a bad view for a 12.5 magnitude galaxy. Moving on.
NGC 1954, a baby boomer galaxy in Lepus, magnitude 11.8, fairly large, 4.2 by 2 arc minutes, spiral galaxy with a small bar and a core. I guess that's the C, 134 million light years distant. This must be a fairly large spiral galaxy.
I've got the screen up there now. The scope is seriously tilted, meaning I have to manage the handheld camera to see if we can get a view without disturbing too much the alignment as we generate the screen. Sweeping it now, I see something on the handheld. I wouldn't be able to identify it yet, personally. Gonna have to check that out later on. Wouldn't be surprised if there aren't some neighboring galaxies in this image that weren't detected by Dreyer. Dreyer had a 10-inch telescope, I believe, 10-inch refractor available when he did his search, although I think he had a speculum mirrored model of about 32 inches available as well. There's our look for NGC 1954.
Well, as previously, NGC 57 was not a big leap from 54. It's a neighboring galaxy. I did not even hear the stepper motors whine. Must be a satellite galaxy. 147 million light years distant, magnitude 14.8, just above 1 arc minute at the longest diameter by 0.8. We're above the celestial equator here in Lepus.
And we should be able to see both 54 and 57 somewhere on the screen, since the scope did not move at all. So once again, I'm in a very inauspicious position here for being able to see the screen. I'm hoping the handheld will capture it, but this is a very faint galaxy at magnitude 14.8. I'd be surprised if we could identify it on the screen, but you never know. We'll look at it in the morning before posting all this up. Seeing something faint fuzzy right there at the top, and that may be the 1954 model. And nearby there could be this 14.8 magnitude galaxy. After all, we've seen all of Stephan's quintet, and one of the published magnitudes for one of the Stephan's quintet was magnitude 16.5. But that was under drier, darker conditions. Once again, 256 flood, high sensitivity, 42 auto gain control usually means something equivalent to whatever might be seen through a 20-inch telescope, even though I've only got a 6-inch lens in this ED refractor. There's our look. Okay, we've now made the leap further south in Lepus to galaxy NGC 1954. Fairly large galaxy. Some 5 arc minutes. I'll give you the specification on it in a moment. Once again, not in a good position for me. I'll sweep the screen and then I'll show you the data. Look above just along the border of the dark bar, and that's where you get the best contrast and image depth. I'll hold it up there while I parallel park here, so to speak. 1964. So we can have a look at the data. 1964. Enter. Takes a few seconds for it to round up the data in the database. NGC has several thousand, 7,000 different studies in it. What we get on 1964, it's a galaxy in Lepus, magnitude 10.8, but very large, which means low surface brightness, 5.5 by 2.1 arc minutes, spiral with a large bar. That means the center of the galaxy is not a circle, but it extends out to the side, 71 million light years distant. One more sweep of the screen. I do not see this from my position, but it may turn up somewhere on the handheld camera image. We're going to NGC 2211, a galaxy in Canis Majoris, magnitude 12.7, fairly small, 1.4 by 0.7 arc minutes. Another spiral, a large bar. I don't know what the O means, 90 million light years distant. I had to realign and synchronize on Sirius, which appeared only half of which was at the top of the screen before I could go ahead and seek out this galaxy. So I've got to there are so many mechanical deficiencies with this mount I'm discovering. The plate, I'm just getting totally different orientation to the east and the west. So I have to figure out, not having access to Polaris, but I've been doing the best I can with it to compromise adjust the azimuth plate, but I'm just not getting good results both east and western hemispheres of the sky. If there's a galaxy there, it's above the dark bar right there, is what I would think it would be. I'll have to confirm that tomorrow as I review this. But there's also a faint fuzzy right in the middle of the screen. Ideally, that would be it. Yeah, ideally that one right there in the middle of the screen, because I did set her on Sirius and synchronize them out. So let's hope that's NGC 2211. There is a 2212 as well. And let's see if it makes much of a leap. Not much of a leap. All right, I'll go down and give it a chance to generate the image. These cold conditions, it's down in the teens. I'm going to lose the battery in the handheld soon. NGC 2212 is a galaxy once again in Canis Majoris. You notice it didn't jump much. It's a magnitude 13.4, 1.5 by 0.8 arc minutes. Another one of those barred spiral galaxies, 90 million light years distant. Let's hope we can turn it up on the screen. This will be my Carpe Noctem moment for the night. So sweeping the screen. Hopefully there's something there that resembles a galaxy. I cannot tell from my angle. I'll have to review this on the morrow. So basically, we've had galaxies by winter, and there's not a lot of them. And we've noticed so far, when I was doing my research on this, I think there's one in a Riga, and I'll punch it in before I knock off just in case. But the tracking is so poor, I would have to do some kind of alignment. No, I think I'll do that off camera. Let's call it Carpe Noctem for tonight. And thanks for watching.